As part of the Big Heads Media Podcast Network. Go to bigheadsmedia.com for more great podcasts.
Welcome to Dig on America, where we speak truth to power. Every week, we give you the dig on how American history, policies, and media created the social and political issues we face today. DOA is independent media supported by listeners, but they'll tell you we're just fake news, deep state propaganda, funded by George Soros, the Clinton Foundation, BLM Marxists, and
Team Rocket.
The mayhem guy from Allstate.
What they do with the pink tie or the pink headband?
Yeah, the guy's hair always messed up.
Best Halloween costume ever.
Protect your family from mayhem. Like me.
Draymond Green.
Don't be talking about Donkey like that. He's a champion.
I like him.
Draymond.
I
like Draymond Green. He's a good player. Welcome to Dig on America. This is Jason Dutch. I'm here with Attorney Anna and Michelangelo Feminier Inquisitor Esquire. What's happening, guys?
East of the Indiana border, they call me Miguelito.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me start over with that again. Welcome to the show, Miguelito Familema Ding Dong. Glad to have you here on the show. And with us today, we have a very special guest. We have with us today Mark Berrios-Ayala, Esquire. We don't want to leave the Esquire out. Welcome into the show, sir.
Thank you. It's okay. You can leave it out. I'm just a little Miami lawyer, nothing special. So,
two lawyers on the show. I don't know what we're gonna do. So just a real quick introduction here. We'll play a game with Mark in a second. But Mark is an attorney. He is an associate general counsel with a property and casualty insurance company, and also the member of a board. This one, if I was going to guess which of the two lawyers on this show was going to have this position, it would not have been Mark. He is a member of the board of directors of the Gwen S. Cherry Black Women's Lawyers Association. So I definitely would have guessed that it would have been this attorney.
Yeah, no one ever guesses that. So.
Love that for you. That's great.
And also an attorney. And I was looking at some of the stuff that you have authored as well, which is pretty cool. So you have some publications with Professa.
Yeah.
Some of your publications with Professa is The Struggle Is Ours, How Black Lives Matter and Latino Lives Matter Too, White Privilege in the Wake of Hurricane Maria, which that one looks like a great read, and The Jones Act, the Modern Day Intolerable Act. So welcome into the show. And you have a new book coming out, which we'll talk about a little bit about here. But why don't you just say hello to the people and take a second or two and let people know why you decided to write this book, and then we'll play a quick game with you.
Yeah, hello, I'm Mark. I'm just a little Miami lawyer, nothing special, and soon to be debut author. I just wrote the book because, in a sense, why not? So someone a long time ago said I should, and then the pandemic came, and I was like, this is the time to do it. So that's my 30-second elevator speech.
Perfect. All right, so you have the center stage. So welcome to Dig on America. At Dig on America, we play a little game with our guests to kind of get to know you a little bit. And these are very, very important questions. Yes. You're not running for office, so your campaign Pulitzer doesn't depend on these, but your Pulitzer certainly does. Yes.
Okay.
This will be replayed by the board as they consider you for that prestigious award.
Did you say the Borg? No.
By the Borg.
Wow, so we're Star Trek fans now?
Not the Borg.
Absolutely. We're all types of pop culture fans. I am Q Anon.
Is Delaney, is he the dude?
Delancey, yes, he is.
Delancey.
It's been proven.
He is Q.
Right.
He's been telling us all along.
Come on, we've known this since the 90s, dude. I mean,
it's been right in front of our faces.
It's been right in front of your faces. It's not our fault you couldn't tell. So, Mark, we're going to play a game with you. It's called Four Down Territory. We will ask you 4 questions. You will give us 4 answers. Would anyone like to go first?
I think Anna said earlier she would.
Okay.
I knew you was going to do that. I thought it might have been Dutch. I knew it was going to be you. Okay. I was asked this question, and I felt like I've been thinking about this question ever since I was asked it. So I'm going to ask you, Mark. If you could take 4 things to survive a zombie apocalypse, what would they be?
Thanks, Delvin.
No, that was a good. Wait, sorry. Before you go, that was a great question because I have been thinking about my existential existence ever since he asked me that, and I feel like I need to tweak what I would take. So I need to ask somebody else.
All right.
Probably a pistol, a pickup truck, a digital library, and I don't know what the 4th is. Maybe whoever maybe somebody to kind of like be my like Bonnie to my Clyde. That would be the 4th thing.
Catherine Zeta-Jones.
That's crazy. Because what if she steal the gun and shoot you?
Well,
now you didn't survive, not because of the zombies.
How dare you say that about Jay-Z and Beyonce?
Yes.
How dare you? I know what your implications were.
3 Bonnie and Clyde, 22 Bonnie and Clyde. It was about 19 years ago that song came out, actually.
Yeah. Anna, don't come for the Queen Bee. You know what happens?
What? No. That wasn't. This is a legitimate. I would like to know what everybody. I've been watching Doomsday Preppers, and I would just like you to know. You need food, you need water. It wasn't on your list. Your digital library, there's no electricity.
You know where I go?
Sure. Not if it works on solar panels.
Got him.
Oh, see. I go
They're going to be
straight.
intact?
I go straight to Dick's Sporting Goods
Why?
because they have
That's where
the
everything
cage.
is.
They have the cage over the window, right? First of all.
Okay.
So it's
You
going
don't
to take
like
some
yourself
effort
in
for
the
them to get
cage?
in. They got golf clubs, baseball bats, archery equipment, guns, knives, fishing stuff,
Not
protein
fish, but
bars.
don't hook 'em.
I'll have the hottest Nikes all the time.
Not you gonna be fly during a zombie
You're
apocalypse.
gonna be coming out of there with all.
Like, hey, y'all seen these Air Force Ones? Please don't.
Listen,
I got
You
North Face.
He got a fresh pair of boots on every time you see him. He don't wear them
He
twice.
like they never gonna catch me in this North Face. They never gonna catch me.
He got new gander gear every other time I see him.
All right. My question is this: since Jurassic Park is out, if you were going to make a hybrid dinosaur, which 2 dinosaurs would you mesh together?
Oh, this is for me?
Yeah, they're all for you. All these questions are for you.
A Velociraptor and a T-Rex, just because it'd be cool.
What was
So
the
you'd
first
make
one?
the Indominus Rex. Okay.
yeah, that's
What
right.
was
They
the
did
first
do that,
one?
actually, now that I think about that. So yeah, maybe something like that, but bigger.
Oh, so able to kill more people.
I don't know. Maybe it's a make-believe movie.
Let's wreak a little bit more havoc. Perfect.
I just voted Meteorite 2024. Just saying. just come on. The dinosaurs had a good run and then it was gone and they don't even know it's gone. You know what I mean? It was just gone. Meteorite 2024.
That's right. Well, they left us the Bible. So
with the
I hate
dudes
you.
with the saddles.
I'm so mad.
they just left themselves out of it. Mikey.
I'm gonna test your nerddom here. Did you watch Pokemon at all or play it?
I watched it like 20 years ago when I was like 10.
Who's your favorite Pokemon?
Probably Mew or I think Alakazam. Either one of those 2 would be my favorites.
Excellent choice. Excellent choice.
Perfect. All right. We got one more question. Anna, do you want to grab the last one since you went first?
Well, sure. I was thinking about my favorite Pokemon, which is probably a Gyarados, but no one asked me. So, okay. Let me think.
I got a backup one if you need a second.
The year is 1970.
What did it say?
You are going to a friend's house for a party. What are you wearing?
1970. Probably some jeans, a nice button up with my sleeves rolled up, some probably nice dress shoes. That's probably what I'm wearing. It's very simple, but very me.
Okay. Even in the 70s?
Yes, it's a classic.
Would you wear an afro?
I don't know if an afro would look good on me. The last time I had something similar to that was when I was studying for the bar, and I would probably never have my hair grow out that much ever again.
How long was
a
it?
picture of myself with it, and I'm embarrassed to show people.
How long was your hair?
It's like up to almost here.
Oh, so it's like a low afro.
Yeah, so I didn't let it grow more than that. I got my hair cut like the day after I took the bar.
Oh, dang. Was it like...
Just got to commit. Just got to commit. You were right there in
the braids. You just got them braids, them little braids with the hang time like Drake got.
Some people actually told me
like right there.
Yeah, some people told me I should have gotten braids. I've never had them before, so they're like,
yeah, you might look sweet with braids.
Appreciate it.
Drake got them little braids that stop right here.
What's up with your boy getting braids without having a fro?
Who you talking about?
Drake.
I was telling you where they stopped right here. When they stop above your neck hairline, I just feel like you should keep growing that. But it feels like his hair is always growing, but the braids just always look like that.
I'm just saying, my man's had a fade like 5 months ago. Now he has braids.
Did he, or did we only see pictures of him with a fade? Maybe it's weave.
That's what I'm leaning into. He got glue on braids. Hey, I have grown my hair out several times.
Those are feed-in braids.
My biracial friends can grow braids that fast. Can't nobody grow braids that fast.
Maybe he found them somewhere.
Oh, you found them at the store. Glued them bitches to the side of his little slick back head. That's what
I think that I don't know if that's weave. It doesn't look like weave, but if he did have weave, it would likely be feed-in because you can use your own hair and just put little strands of hair.
He took whatever Colin was
taking. He should have just let him be longer.
He like drank some canola or some castor oil or something like Colin did because that hair grew out in like 3 months.
Yo, athletes, their hair grows faster, their fingernails grow faster, their metabolism is crazy. So when they was in the bubble and they couldn't get to the shop, yeah, a couple of them, their hair got to the length.
Them barbers had to buy a hacksaw when that bubble opened up.
Wasn't there like Martin doing the
gardening equipment? Bring out the gardening equipment.
They got the grinder out there.
All right, so Mark, pushing forward here, Mark. So your book that you have coming up is on allyship, right? So explain to us, and I know that your book, there's different types of allyship, you know, your personal life and in your professional life, but why was this the topic that you chose? So give us kind of like the dig on why allyship is important enough for you to write a book on it.
Well, as I explained in a section of my book, a girl I was dating at the time many years ago, and I was in college, told me to consider writing a book, and I was like, hey, yeah, whatever. I don't know if I'm gonna do that. But the conversation stuck, and then over the last couple of years, I was thinking about it, and then the conversation kind of just came back to me, and I thought, why not make one? Why not be more than just a little attorney, and you can add something to a conversation that no one else is talking about. Originally, it was supposed to be a history book on like vulnerable, disadvantaged communities, and then I saw it was already done. And after thinking about and brainstorming, it came more to a self-help book, which is what it is now. And why not have a book on that? I can't think of a reason why not. So, does that answer your question?
Do you have like a personal experience that made it relevant? Like where someone became an ally to you?
Teachers in school, things like that. So I'm not going to name names out right now, but just a couple of teachers in school kind of helped me out. So I wouldn't be where I am today without good teachers like them. So just guidance and mentorship, which I recommend to do in the book as a way to be an ally.
Interesting. So here's the question that I have for you. This one's straight out of my own gun here. So a lot of times folks will call themselves allies, especially in progressive communities, right? We'll talk about being an ally to the LGBT community, or as a white guy, we'll talk about being an ally towards feminists or an ally towards the Black community or Latino community or whatever the case may be. And sometimes I think people who are trying to be allies and may even genuinely be trying to be engaged in allyship they don't really know how to wade into the water, right? I think they go in, preaching sometimes, and it's fine to share an opinion, but I also think that there's got to be a time and place. So can you give some personal experience on that, like as to how maybe a two-sided question here, if you have any personal experience on that where it went good or bad, and secondly, any advice that you would have to someone who's trying to be an ally to a different community that they're not a part of?
Yeah, I talk about that. I emphasize personal connection with what I call the resilient community, which is a disadvantaged one. I mean, it's kind of what you think it is. So you just have, do you have a personal connection with a disadvantaged community or members of it? Could be you happen to have a lot of friends from that community. Maybe you have an interest in the culture of that community. Maybe you just have some type of special interaction. Those are two good things. Maybe you have a special just interest just because maybe you find something about their culture or experience fascinating. And you can start there, and it can be very simple as being a good friend. I have an example of that. Mentorship is another example of that. Just kind of helping out. In some cases, you could join an organization like what I apparently am doing now. You could do that too. The biggest thing for people that don't know how to wait is one of the things I try to push in the book is it's the little things that matter. Being a good friend is something everybody can do. Mentorship is something you can do, I guess, in a professional stance. You could help someone get a job or, give a recommendation. Those are all little things that just about anybody can do. And for those that might be afraid of doing that, that goes back to what I said, personal relationships. If you have a lot of friends that are in the LGBTQI plus community, that might be a good place to start for you to be an ally because you kind of have that connection. Maybe you have a cultural, maybe like something about their culture. Maybe you just have a lot of friends there or family there or work colleagues there. And those are all things that will make it a little more, I guess, I don't really want to say easier, but I guess that's the word, for lack of a better term, easier. And
it's a stepping stone.
Exactly. You can do something bigger if you want to, but I imagine a lot of people that will read this and enact this may not get on any newspaper for doing this, and that's fine because you really that shouldn't be your aim. As I say, do for the cause, not the applause.
I like that.
Quotables. I was like a quotable.
He stamped it with a quote.
I like that. The cause.
Yeah, because it's about, at the end of the day, I call it let's get sincere. I have 9 elements for what makes an ally. I guess Anna could probably appreciate it. It's like, think of it as kind of like a legal analysis, 9 elements. You need all 9. So I have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So I have 9. I would say the most important one is the last one, sincerity. You got to be doing it for the right reasons. So that's why I said it. But you may say, but Mark, how can you be that with everybody? I'm like, well, I guess an idea where you can, but realistically that won't always happen. So I suggest stick to maybe 1 or 2 groups that you really have that connection with and just put a lot of effort into them. So it's better. I care more about quality than quantity. I'd rather you help one group in one way and do it really well than it is you're everywhere doing a little bit of everything, because just, you really can't do that. And that's just being human. You really can't. You see that person that's trying to be everything to everybody? That doesn't work. It just doesn't. So stay in your lane, so to speak. And if you want to change it, it's okay, but you got to put in work. But you just can't be you can't be everything to everybody. That's something I'm trying to say. And
that's my problem.
Yeah, that's what it was, Dutch. You were just doing everything. No, it's kidding.
Mark, what do you think is the biggest mistake that allies make, or maybe not the biggest, but the most common? And why do you think that allies make that mistake the most often or the most substantially?
There's a lot to it. Maybe being insincere can be one. You're there for all the wrong reasons, doing it more for attention. I mean, I do mention you may get some attention. to it. I've gotten some. That's something that struck me. I didn't realize it was going to happen. I didn't think people were going to care as much, but I've been wrong about things like that. I would say just be culturally competent, and all this is easier when you have a connection, when you actually really have a personal liking of the community, because it's easier for me to research something about Black women, their culture, and experience if I actually like them, than as opposed if I'm doing it just because I, just have it on my resume, so to speak, which would be insincere. So, but that's just my personal take. It's a lot more easier if you actually like the group and the culture.
What did you say before? It was a phrase like cultural what? Like culture competence?
Cultural competency, yeah. This like being aware of, researching how certain things in the culture, certain like experience, like trending topics, so to speak. So
yeah. Because
it's like a trending topic for women would be the end of abortion, right? So obviously I read the opinion. It took me like 3 days to do it. So that would obviously be good to know in a group of women, right? Just to have an idea. So, and I guess the lawyer in me, this is where you have two different things collide, is don't just listen to the news's take on it, or read the freaking opinion. And I did. And all 213 pages of it straight from the Supreme Court website. Majority opinion, concurrences, and dissents, and everything.
And your quick analysis.
My
Break it down for us with it. Break it down for us for the next hour.
He's joking. Please don't.
No.
We're really gonna do it too. I do want to hear your take.
We'll do another episode.
Yeah, we'll talk about that briefly in a minute. But the so a question that I was thinking of that kind of popped into my head while you were talking, was you talked about the sincerity, right? So do you talk at all in your book? And if not, here's your little ammo for the next edition or the follow-up book. But when it comes to allyship outside of direct engagement with that community, so for example, and just to kind of put this into some anecdotal terms, talking to your crazy racist uncle at the Thanksgiving table because they don't realize the things that they say are, or they don't care, one of the two, that the things that they say are, they have enough plausible deniability where they can, they feel like they can get away with stuff. Would you say that stuff counts as allyship, or would you say that it's more of, is that a different type of thing?
I don't see why not. I mean, it can be that and something else. In my book, there's no reason why they can't overlap. So a lot of the elements that I mentioned, I do even say they will probably overlap, and that's if you think they're overlapping, you're not alone, and that's okay. So sure. I mean, I emphasize the book of the little things. I mean, I guess you're asking why those little things make an ally. My answer is why not? I've never heard a good reason why not. I mean, it's something that everybody can do. I don't expect everybody here to do really grand things or become an activist, because I just know that's not the way the world works. I try to be very practical. And a lot of times the little things can be just as important. So just being a good friend, or, I say friends and mentorship because those are like the biggest concrete things I can click with. And I also say, don't be afraid to kind of think for yourself how to do that in a way that works for you. So I guess as a teacher, mentorship would work. As an attorney, maybe serving under, communities that could probably use good legal representation. For a doctor, that might be serving communities that may not have that good access to healthcare. I mean, it could be anything. It really depends on, what you do, for what your talents are and your knowledge is. So.
One thing that I find very frustrating, and I'm not sure if your book addresses it, is when people go to, oh, I don't like what's happening to that certain group over there, I'm going to go help them. And they go and they take over the entire event. They fucking the shit all up. They're not going in the right direction. They're just doing everything all crazy, or like that over helping, or like the taking over, as opposed to like, here, I will come pick you up and drag you to this thing. And you know what I mean? It's like the people of the movement kind of lose their lose their personhood in all of it, because they're someone else's puppet.
Yeah, I do. I just say, don't force it. I mean, if you want to help, you're willing to say, I'm here to help, but if nobody takes you up on that offer, then, that's going to be part of the game, as I like to say. That's just part of life. Not everyone's going to want help, and you shouldn't force it. I don't like giving unsolicited advice. I don't like be receiving it either. So, this goes back again to I say sincerity, because I always notice in life when you're really sincere and passionate about something, you'll naturally find the right fit where you can, do the right things and help in the right ways. So I wouldn't push it too hard. I mean, kind of go with the flow of opportunity, so to speak, and
Right.
you'll find ways. Just don't try to force it. It's like a relationship. I mean, it just kind of happens. It's very natural, fluid. It's easy like breathing. Don't try to force it. So, and again, when you're sincere about your resilient communities, I say, they may like you back, and it may be a little easier when you have that chemistry. If you want to help a different community that's a little more foreign, you might want to, it may be a bit of a longer process. I might stick to, some of the hard skills you have. So
Right.
maybe things related to your day job. And you might have to put your thinking cap on how what you do for your day job can relate to that, if anything. And sometimes if it really isn't, it might be more like what you do in your free time. Because obviously I'm a corporate defense lawyer. That's what I do. I don't do shit for my job that makes the world arguably a better place for the underserved. And that's fine, because most people just, those jobs aren't going away. Someone still insurance companies are still going to need someone to defend them from suits, regardless of how the world changes or not. So,
Right.
still have to fight off those hurricane claims, and as I do in Florida. So, but you can do stuff in your free time. That's just as good. So that's just as valuable. I mean, it's one thing to help you because I'm getting paid to do it, because that's my day job. It's another thing to do it because I'm not being paid. I chose to write this book. No one made me write it. No one put a gun to my head and said, do it. So I chose to do it. Why? Because at the time of the obviously, because I thought something needed to be done, but also practically because I'm the type of person where I always want to be doing something. My mom always taught me that. And during the pandemic, as maybe Anna may appreciate, a lot of courthouses were closed. You couldn't just, you used to do that, and you used to go to the court in person for anything, and then for a time it was closed. And a lot of us at work were like, there's not a lot to do when you can't go to court anymore. And then everything started being virtual, at least it is here in Miami where I live. So I didn't have to really drive anywhere. So that saves time for a commute. So I decided to be productive and write a book. It was somebody on a YouTube video once said, this is a time where a lot of distractions are eliminated. What are you going to do with that time to maximize it? So that's in a nutshell. So.
Let me ask a slightly controversial, potentially type of question.
Yeah.
So what happens when allies go too far? And the person that I'm thinking of when I say this is, I don't know if you remember Rachel Dolezal, who was she was a white woman who was, I don't know if you would call it blackfishing, or because she's
a black woman.
I've honestly never heard of her.
Oh, really?
Oh, you have.
Okay,
I'll
so here's
the
the situation. She, as a white woman, it's my understanding that she was blackfishing, really, I guess, presenting herself in the community to be a black woman. But in doing all of this, she had like a fake family and fake pictures and this whole fake story and whatever about her life. But she did all of this because she ultimately was an ally. So, for example, she used to actually teach. She used to teach about the transatlantic slave trade as a professor at a community college. She was the president of her local NAACP chapter. She really did a lot of stuff in advancement of the Black community, and really, putting her money where her mouth is, like you mentioned, like being a part of the community, having connections, going out, like volunteering your time, volunteering your resources and your services. But she was still kind of pretending to be a Black lady. So what do you think about that, when a situation where an ally might, in their vigor to try to champion some type of cause, potentially oversteps, and how should they know their boundaries in that regard?
I always say honesty and consistency are two elements of allyship. That's number 4 and 5 in my notes here. So you gotta be honest about yourself. So that also goes back to being sincere. Occasionally, you may overstep your boundaries, so that's going to happen. I mean, we all make mistakes, right? I guess it's just good to be kind of like I said, cultural. I forgot the phrase I use. I guess culturally aware.
Competency.
There you go. That helps keep you from going too far. Just like being yourself is the only way I can really say is just stick to that, and you won't. This won't be as much of a problem, and maybe you might, if it does, it may be the occasional mistake, which is going to happen. So I do believe I say that you're going to be making mistakes. Get used to it. So there's no, I think I haven't found another book that's really addressed a topic like this. And even I say, I'm not going to have all the answers for everything. So you're going to have to think for yourself. I've said that a couple times in my book. You're not going to find every answer here. It's like, and I can appreciate this is an analysis you use to kind of think about and solve a problem. So, and I think she can appreciate that. And if she's read it, she can probably appreciate the legal element to it, because that's kind of how we think. It's not so much of a yes or no question. It's more like, what is the process we use to answer that question that matters a lot more.
Do you know the name of her book?
Who, Anna?
Rachel Dolezal. I don't have a book, but when I get one, y'all.
No, I don't know her book.
It is In Full Color. Finding my place in a black and white world.
When did she write? Did she write that book?
I know you lying.
she wrote that book before or after she was outed?
I don't know.
What year was the book written?
Let me find out. Hold on.
While he's looking that up, one of the questions that's right around the same time.
I thought she was outed before 2017.
Did we talk about her during Trump times?
I don't think so.
Oh, she was early news by Trump time.
I don't remember.
I think it was before.
I don't remember ever specifically talking about that.
She was in the same time frame as Juicy J.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Juicy Smollett.
I wanted to ask, what are the 9 elements? You have referred to like a few of them, and I just wanted to circle back with you that I wanted to actually know what all of the 9 elements of allyship were.
Yeah, don't give away the whole book. Just give us the outline.
Yeah, I can give you the 9. So I say it as, I guess, in legal fashion here, there are 9 elements. They occasionally overlap. That's okay. Nothing necessarily wrong with that. You need to exhibit all of them to really be an ally. An ally has a one kind of dictionary definition of a person that serves or helps a resilient community that is not their own, and I can break that down. The resilient community is, underserved, has a history of oppression. I kind of have my own analysis on what exactly that is, and that's in another part of the book. There might be room there for a sequel. And specifically, you have 9 elements that kind of help you kind of guide yourself. And there are courage, compassion, loyalty, honesty, consistency, selflessness, sacrifice, perseverance, and the most important one, sincerity.
Cool.
So,
and yes, they do overlap. So, there's certain questions they may ask about one that will answer another. So that's how they are.
When I appreciate that answer. When I was speaking to your publisher, they were talking. One of the things that I talked to him about was, or one of the things he talked to me about was the importance of this book when it comes to healing. So can you kind of put that? I want to make sure that I brought that up because he made a pretty key point of it. Yeah, when it comes to the healing process. So can you kind of go over what a scenario would be where the elements in this book will come into place when you're obviously trying to help someone else heal from something?
Yeah, heal trauma. I mean, let's get past this goes back to cultural competency. So is there a certain type of oppression that happens in your resilient community, that you might be able to relate to because to a certain extent happens to you? So, for example, a lot of resilient communities tend to have a lot of poverty. And if you're from a different community that's either maybe not as oppressed or maybe not oppressed at all, but you still go through poverty, maybe you can kind of connect on that. Like, maybe we may not be the same race, but we both know what it's like to not always to go to bed hungry because mama doesn't have enough food and, maybe dad's not around and some of the people around the street may have you stole your lunch money to buy drugs or something like that, and that can be something that you can kind of like work together with and build a connection with. I don't want to say like, what do they call that? what do they call that? Like trauma. No, it's not trauma healing. It's like when two people kind of connect over trauma bonding.
Trauma bonding.
Yeah, I don't want to say it's like that, but it kind of is a parallel in a sense where it's like you kind of look a little deeper into things, into like what shared stuff, and then you can help each other out. Maybe you have a little extra food, you share it, or so it can be something like that. That can help with healing. Cultural competency can help, and maybe how to. I said this in another podcast with some HR people. Like they're like, how do we serve as HR people? And I said, do a census. Who do you serve and who your employees are, and then you tailor make any programs and policies to them. If I have a lot of Black workers in my company, like where I do, we're probably going to emphasize things like Juneteenth and Martin Luther King Day. If we have more Latino people, we'll probably emphasize other holidays too.
There was a so there was a I'm pretty sure that this was something the wife that, so it happens that the wife is an HR director and for a big company, and she was saying that her community, one of the stores was putting together something for Juneteenth, and they asked the only Black woman who works at the company to put together the presentation, right? So it's like, that would be a clear example of good intended allyship gone terribly wrong, right? Because you're going to assume that only that person, well, you're the Black person, you're going to benefit from this, so go ahead and do that. That would be kind of a bad example of allyship, correct?
Yeah, it could be. That was a well-intended try that just didn't work out. I would recommend maybe just do a census of people like that, and maybe have a way of kind of like an anonymous polling, and just be like, what could we do? Just ask for any volunteers to help out with that. If you happen to have a friend who might be like someone like that, you might want to casually ask, like, look, like maybe I kind of want to better serve them, but I don't know how to do it. So, like, can you refer to me to someone that does? If it's not you, maybe that might be slightly better than just saying, doing that. I mean, just because you're the one person there in that community doesn't mean you know all the answers to that, because there's things about my community that I don't know the answers to. So.
How would you recommend folks to engage people who will be potentially allies, but don't feel that they want to overstep? And the reason I ask is because I feel like at certain jobs that I've had, there are folks who will be like, yeah, I support this and I will be interested in this. But when things come up, they don't necessarily volunteer, and they feel like, oh, well, I'm just the white guy or I'm the white woman. I don't want to be a part of a group that's not meant for me. But a lot of times when, people of color, whatever minority group or resilient groups, as you call them, a lot of times when it's just us attending certain of those meetings, it's like, yeah, like this is great that there's a space for us. But the whole point is to kind of, make everybody to blend, for everybody to kind of understand one another. And it's hard to do that when only people who belong to that group are participating in those activities, when there are folks who might participate if they felt invited, but sometimes they don't feel necessarily invited. But also, as a person in the community, I don't feel like I need to invite you to volunteer to help me. You know what I mean? So like, how can folks kind of bridge that gap for people who would otherwise want to be an ally but aren't sure how to engage without overwhelming whoever the assistance is intended for?
Yeah, well, that goes back to what I said about personal connection with the community. It starts with that. Which one do you have a personal connection with? So I have one with Black women. I just had a lot of friends from them from back as far as at least 2006 that I can recall, back when I was a freshman in high school. So I've always gotten along with them. I'm not gonna say I get along with everybody in that community, because I'd be lying to you if I don't. So there's definitely some that I don't care much for. I can think of two right now that I will never do them any favors if they ask me. Even though I kind of feel one was gonna ask me one. I kind of feel it, but I'm not gonna tell you who that is. So
I love that you've outed yourself as being a human being here. That's the best.
We're all first and foremost Homo sapiens. So that's species.
I'm for all Black lives. except Lakeisha.
Except them two.
Yeah, it starts, but that's where I go with it. It starts with that. So, someone here, well, part of it is a historical thing because my people, like, we kind of have had a history of working with African Americans to, kind of fight for rights that goes as far as the Young Lords in New York, which I really love. So for me, this is kind of like, this isn't weird. This is just, this is part of the culture here. There's a bit of a connection there. For others here, and there's nothing wrong with one who's in a community helping another. There's nothing wrong with that. I think that should be done. There's nothing. I'm here to say that's perfectly okay to do, and I'm even going to say that's not a weird thing. It's just kind of a new name for an old thing. So, but back to answer your question, it starts with what kind of personal connection do you have with that community? For me, I've had a lot of friends there. We clicked. We get along. I can't even tell you why we click. I've asked people that, and I can never get a real answer. So that's just how life is. So, and it starts with, an easy way is, do you have any professional trade associations based on where you work that deal with that? And if they do in your area, go to their events, like what I do, because that's basically a big portion of what I do for the Goines girls is I go to their shit.
You're talking about like a Hispanic Chamber of Commerce or something like that?
Is that a serious question?
Yes.
Yeah, he busts out laughing at you.
Yeah, that was an absolutely serious question.
He just busts out laughing like, are you?
Goines is the black woman one.
I'm sorry?
Lawyers. The Goines chairs the Black Women Lawyers Association.
We were talking about yourself. Somehow there was a disconnect there. So, like when you were saying the trade associations, right?
Yeah. So, like a trade, I'm an attorney, so it would make sense for me to be part of a bar association because that's a group of lawyers, a professional group. So, for those that are interested in becoming an ally, but they don't know where to start. First off, think of a resilient community you have a connection with. That's step one. Right. Step two is there a trade association related with that? For me, obviously, yes, there is. And step three is, if there is, go to their events. Do you click with those people? Do you not? If you don't click with them, that's fine. That's going to happen. You're not going to click with everybody in your resilient community of choice. You're just not. Okay, you're not. I'm not going to lie to you. There's people in this group here that I don't always get along with. I'm not going to name names, but I'm just going to say there's people that I don't get along with, and that's kind of life.
Lakeisha.
So, so start doing that. And if you really, just go because you're very sincere about your intentions. Don't try too hard. Just go to events, listen, be kind of crafty in what kind of questions you ask, and they'll see you. Don't be afraid of shaking hands with people. Let them know who you are, what you do. And if they ask you, why are you here? You just say, because I'm curious and I'm interested, and just leave it at that. I remember back when I first got involved with the group, that the then president was also working for the ACLU, so she had a lot of events that kind of combined the two, and I always found them fascinating, and not to mention it was close to my office at the time, so I didn't have to go very far. So for me, it's like there's no reason not to. I was once part of an African American organization in college, and I kind of saw this as a continuation of it, because I was kind of separated from it for a couple of years because there wasn't much opportunity, and I was like, it's time to get back into it again. It's interesting. And then someone approached me about being on the board. I remember that day. It was about a little over 3 years ago. And I said, I'll think about it. I thought about it. And the next thing you know, I'm on. And there you go. I'm going on 3 years now.
So here's that's interesting, because when I brought up the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, that was anecdotal. So I joined the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce 2 years ago when I was at a previous job within the construction community. Because obviously, you work with the city chamber of commerce a lot, and then we don't have any ethnic group chamber of commerce except for the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce in town. So I went and I joined that. Though I would say that, just personally speaking, I would have been hesitant to approach a leadership position within that organization, not because of the fact that I don't think that I could help that organization or be an ally to that organization, which is a super worthwhile thing. But that the optics of that, I'm not sure would be particularly great, because it's like, oh, you're going to have this white cis male come in there and, yeah, he's an ally, but now he's in a leadership position within that group as well. And, so yeah, I kind of want to look at the optics of that too and be like, what is the perception of this going to be? Is that a fair way for me to look at it?
For me, I've never had much of an issue with it. So, this is not the first time I've done this, and it may probably not be the last, even if I do leave that group. I'm not saying I'm going to, I'm just saying if and whenever I do, it won't be the last. I've never heard anything really bad about it. So, I never pursued the position, so it just kind of fell in my lap, so to speak. So someone asked me about it, if I'd be interested, and I'm like, after I said originally, I told them I think about it. They looked unsatisfied with that answer, but I was like, look, that's a leadership position for a bar association. It doesn't matter who it's for. I mean, this is next level stuff for me, so I need to make sure I can handle it. Now looking back, I'm kind of laughing that I actually thought of that, because it's not that bad. I mean, but just in general, it's not that difficult to be. And for a smaller bar association, it's not that bad. For a big one, that's a different story. So at the time, I was like, I don't know. I need to make sure I'm committed and I can go to events because I care about quality. So I learned that in college when I was involved. And I'm like, I just don't want to be here just for my resume. I want to see if I can do something. So I would suggest go to the events, see if you like them, see if you find them interesting. See if there's an opportunity where the position that you might be a good fit for, maybe quarterback or wide receiver. Don't try and gun for it. I mean, if it seems like a natural fit, you can say, hey, I'm interested. If you don't feel like the interest is reciprocated, then let it go. And, if it's something where they actually come to you and say, hey, you want to join, why not, schedule permitting. So other than that, I would just say just find your lane. If you do get into position, just kind of fall by the wayside, observe how the group operates and see if there's an area where maybe you can actually help. So and just do that. So if you can. So I helped with the legislative committee with lobbying once, because I guess I just found that particularly interesting. Other things like setting up our yearly banquet, I'm like, I'm just not that into that.
Oh, he froze.
Oh, I thought that was me.
No.
I'm like, maybe I'm in the Matrix.
No, he froze on us there. So we'll wait for him to. That was actually kind of.
Are you talking, Mikey? I didn't hear. I could see your mouth moving.
Yeah, Mikey was talking, but he was on mute.
Oh.
Yeah. Next time that happens, Dutch, we just gotta freeze at the same time and just leave Anna out there for a good 10 seconds.
So I'm going to start my own topic.
Yeah, for those on the audio, Mark froze on us here, so I'll send him a quick text message, and we'll be able to get him back into the stream, so he can tell people where to. Actually, I'll just kind of cover that out real quick right now. So the book, because it appears he's dropped out. The book is called Let's Get Sincere by Mark Berrios-Ayala, gentleman that we just saw, and hopefully we'll get him back in for the rest of the show. This book is due out in September, and I believe that the publisher told me that you can pre-order the book in August. So it's based off of a 2021 report by the Pew Research Center that revealed 80% of Americans believed Black people face significant discrimination in society. 76% feel Hispanics face similar discrimination, and 80% Asian. But 10% basically reported doing anything about it. So there was basically the backdrop for why this was written. So you guys can, I'm sure, find it all on Amazon, all that type of stuff. And then if you guys want to follow Mark on Twitter, you can also do that, and I will give you his Twitter address right here. Sorry, I wasn't prepared to do this stuff because I was going to let him say it.
What's the @
He is. Let me find this because he just followed us, so I should be able to find that in 1 second here. His Twitter is sincerest_1. So it's C as in cat, INCEREST _OL